before going forward. Your Royal Majesty, Delta State celebrates 35 years of creation this year. As milestone anniversary, it often invites us to look back before going forward. So as someone who has served Nigeria in academia, law, and now traditional leadership, how would you assess Delta State's journey over the last 3.5 decades?
Well, firstly, let me thank you for this opportunity and for providing the platform for me to express my views on issues relating to Delta State at 35. 35 is quite a significant number and mileage indeed. To have clocked 35 years is indeed quite significant, if I have to use that expression again. And it is for us to take a kind of chronicle of events of the past 35 years. And from there, we can make projections to the future. Yes, firstly is for us to put in proper context and in proper perspective the composition of the territory known as Delta State. I've always posited that Delta State on its own is made up of very prominent and promising villages, towns, cities, and urban areas, quite distinct from many other places. For many states created alongside Delta State, you will see that maybe one town, one city, or thereabout, but not the same for Delta. Delta, you have Asaba, you have Warri, you have Agbo, you have Uele, Sapele, and you are still counting. A host of them, maybe you can talk about 30 or more urban environments. Now, the issue is the trajectory so far in almost all these 30 urban centers at the same time. I would say that remarkably, the successive governments have tried to pull together in a way and manner that certainly will attract a lot of commendation, if not outright admiration, for the successive government. The developmental strides have been quite commendable, I will continue to say, and we have seen it in various sectors and various spheres of human undertaking. Firstly, the well-being of the people of Delta State. How have they fared as a people in terms of well-being, in terms of health care, amongst others, in terms of education, in terms of infrastructural development and growth, in terms of capacity to link up some of these centers and indeed the hinterlands, in terms of agricultural and rural agrarian development, in terms of transportation outreach, amongst others. How well have we been able to harness the full potentials of this Delta State as a state? And what are those innovations that we've been able to bring to bear in order to also harness the full potential?
Delta State clocks 35. From a royal and historical perspective now, what does this milestone mean for Asaba? itself and then Delta State in general?
Well, Delta State clocks 35, and of course, Asaba also clocks 35 as the capital of Delta State. For us, again, another significant milestone for the people of Asaba to bear this burden and the responsibility. And of course, it comes with some benefits as well. But the important thing is that we've been able to lose part and parcel of the freedom that ordinarily inheres in our cultural environment in order to accommodate the people from all parts of Nigeria, not necessarily Delta. We've been able to make available chunks and large expanse of our land in order to attract infrastructural growth and development that is suitable for a state like Delta State. But in the whole, we've also been able to see Asaba develop in leaps and bounds, and I dare say exponentially. And more significantly, we've been able to warehouse and harbor seats of government, not just government house, but other infrastructural and international and national corporations, as the case may be. Being the headquarters in Delta State, you have all the security agencies and apparatus here, police, military, and so on and so forth, in Asaba, immigration, road safety, amongst others, prisons, customs, amongst others. So certainly, it has also opened up our whole environment in the sense that we can now accommodate people from all parts and parcel of this country, one way or the other, live with them harmoniously and peacefully, and of course relate with them. And again, it has opened up Asaba as the gateway to Delta State, as the gateway to this state that we are so proud of, in the sense that today Asaba is a tourist destination of its own because of all the facilities that have been put in place. Asaba is also a hospitality hub of its own, and I always compare it second to only Lagos. Asaba seems to overtaking Abuja in terms of hospitality industry. So a lot has happened. One way or the other, there have been ups and downs, as the case may be, but on the whole, we believe that it can still be better, and we are hopeful that so much can still be achieved in the years ahead. But I believe Asaba has been able to live up to its status as the capital of Delta State.
What role have traditional institutions played in keeping peace and unity in Delta State since its creation?
Well, I believe that from my own experience and from what I saw in the past, it has quite been robust and very, very effective. The traditional institutions were the closest to the grassroots, closer than any other person. We can read the heartbeat of our people. We can, of course, determine their needs at any point in time. We know their mindset, how their mind is working, and we try as much as possible to liaise with them and then, of course, speak their mind one way or the other to the government of the day and all the apparatus of governance as far as Delta State is concerned. So they've continued to play a formidable role. We try to ensure that peace exists amongst us. And I can say without equivocation that not just Asaba, but Delta State generally has remained quite peaceful in many ways than one, from all ramifications of that expression. We have little incidences of kidnapping and banditry or abductions, as the case may be, and we seldom have violent crimes amongst us. Our people are not given to crimes and criminality, and to that extent, I can say that traditional institutions have played a formidable role in that regard. And I give kudos to the commanding heights of the traditional institution because we meet every month and we discuss issues of importance, and especially security being at the top echelon of our conversation. But we must also give credit to the government of the day for encouraging traditional rulers in most of the things going on, bringing them up to speed and carrying them along, giving them that sense of belonging. And with all this in place, traditional institutions have remained very supportive of the government of the day and helping out to ensure that peace reigns. And with peace comes a lot of investment, comes a lot of people, influx of people into our various localities. And I can say without fear of contradiction that the traditional institutions have played a very wonderful role in the growth and development of Delta State, especially as far as peace is concerned.
In the last 35 years, what are some key developmental strides you have witnessed in Asaba and across Delta State that you are most proud of?
Well, urbanization comes with a lot of development of its own. Firstly is real estate. I believe that the real estate industry has blossomed. Of course, it's expected because the more the influx of people, the more the issue of accommodation will come to the fore. And to that extent, real estate industry has blossomed. Just like I also say the hospitality industry is on the increase. There are so many hotels that are springing up all over the place. The same thing for the entertainment industry. It's not just the Nollywood. Asaba is the headquarters of the Nollywood, so to speak. But with that comes all other peripherals and peripheral, I may use that expression, entertainment hubs as well, restaurants, amongst others, and so on and so forth. So we can say without equivocation that Asaba seems to have blossomed so much in that regard. With the airport, a lot of people fly into Asaba and use Asaba to cross over to other connecting states, either going towards Benin or going across the Niger Bridge to other connected. So, and the flight into Asaba has increased in numbers. So, a lot has happened over these past 35 years that people coming into Asaba will find it difficult to recognize Asaba after every 5 years because a lot seems to be happening. Mark you, Asaba now is a capital territory, so we are not restricted to my kingdom alone. We go as far as Ibuzo and beyond. We go towards Isele, Itima, amongst other places. So it's a wide area, but everything seems to be working out fine, happening, and so on and so forth. So I believe that so far, so good.
What laws have been abolished or made in order to accommodate non-indigents in Asaba because it is the state capital?
Well, it depends. Being a state capital does not in any way suggest that people throw overboard the basic and fundamental traditions of their place. If they do, they will lose their identity, as the case may be. We are not in a hurry to lose our identity. When the need arises, we make certain laws. When I came on board, the first thing I did was to ban the Ezewanyis in Asaba. And the law stands. We did. And it takes a lot of courage. And I mean serious courage for one to do so. Why? Because they were influencing both Yahoo boys in terms of rituals, in terms of supporting them one way or the other with some of the activities, amongst other things. We felt that it was in collective interest of Asaba, not just of Asaba people, but the whole people that are resident in Asaba, for us to put an end to that. And we did. And I can tell you that it went a long way. And today it is history. We don't see Ezewany people that all over the place as it used to be the case. We've also looked into our land issues. We've noticed that we were losing account, one way or the other, that our land tenurial system was more or less deteriorating. People were selling and reselling, and we decided that the only way we can checkmate this is for us to automatically introduce leasehold into the way we deal with our land instead of outright purchase or outright sale, as the case may be. We've been able to do that, and it is working. Why? Because we believe that in years to come, in the next maybe 30 years or 40 years. Of course, the leasehold is for 65 years. In the next 65 years, our people will also, our children will also have this land renegotiated one way or the other, and it will become a fallback for them. So I believe that that also is in the interest. There are some other things people are under. That's what I want. The issue of Okulenu, that I'm sure that is where you are heading to. Asaba people don't eat Okulenu for obvious reasons. We have ancestral link that forbids us from doing so, and we don't even want to see it in our land. And I don't think it's too much for us to say that this is what we forbid in Asaba. And all over the world, there are certain things people forbid, one way or the other, not because of allergy, but because it is traditional, it is historical, it is ancestral. And we are not shy of coming out openly to say that we are not into it. Other people may, some other Asaba people may, but what we're saying, don't sell it in our market, because it is more or less disrespectful. It is like, you can bloody well go to hell. That we're a capital city doesn't mean that we should be prepared to be told to go to hell. We're not ready to go to hell because we're a capital city. People must also learn to appreciate our custom, interrogate it further, find out the basics, the fundamentals behind it, and then try to respect it as the case may be. So we've done that. And so many other, but we have championed the issue of peace in terms of what we have done. We try as much as possible to support the government of the day. We may not become too comfortable with certain things. One thing that I'm not particularly comfortable about is the excessive number of keke tricycles that we see plying the routes of Asaba. It does not define this place as a capital city. And I've not hesitated to make this known to people. We must evolve. And I'm happy government has come out with CNGs and electric vehicles. One, in terms of environmental health, that is much more healthier. And again, in terms of orderliness, I think that is more suitable to us. So that when you apply the streets of Asaba, you will see that sense of a capital, not a place littered with tricycles jumping on top of each other. It does not define this as a state capital. And I'm happy that those with listening ears, they are hearing. We are not in any way trying to take away the livelihood of those using tricycle, but we can redefine their route. But the central routes of a capital city, let us make sure that we have transportation model that certainly we will be proud of. One that is decent, one that is dignified, one that can attract tourists in a way and manner that people will come in and see a seamless flow of traffic that is befitting of a state capital. So we are also supporting government along that line by ensuring that whatever ideas we come up with, we mention it to government, we submit to government, we try to support government to the best of our ability, amongst others. So we try to be helpful to the best of our ability. The primary health care centers in this town, we've tried to support them to the best of our ability as well. We have attracted medical doctors from the NYSC, almost about 10 of them, and we are paying them from the account of the palace. And we are sending them to some of these institutions. So also, the people that attend to these primary health care centers are not basically Asaba indigents. They are open to other places. I know that recently we made donations of dialysis machine to the Federal Medical Center and Asaba Specialist Hospital. We are doing all those things to support the government of the day, and one way or the other, the people living in Asaba. We've just floated an ambulance, a free ambulance service by the community. And again, it's for people resident in Asaba. And it's free of charge. It is not just for Asaba indigents. So here and now we come up with ideas and with laws and policies that will be beneficial to all the people resident in Asaba, one way or the other. I know people talk so much about urban, the house rent in Asaba. I believe that it is not something the traditional institution can legislate on. It is only the House of Assembly that can legislate on that, or the government of the day. And we cannot in any way be pushed or stampeded to do certain things that we know will be counterproductive at the end of the day. Laws are not laws when they are honored more in the breach than observance. When laws are honored in observance, that is a good law. But when laws are honored more in the breach than observance, then that is a useless law. We don't want to get involved in things that will be an exercise in futility and laws that will be honored more in the breach. So we have tried to live up to our responsibilities as far as some of these issues are concerned, and we've also tried as much as possible to make sure that we put the interest of our community first and the interest of those residents in Asaba first, amongst others. And generally, the most important thing for us is to support the government of the day. And we are not relenting as far as that is concerned. And we are not prepared to relent going forward.
The MORE agenda of the current administration focuses on meaningful development, opportunities, real reforms, and enhanced peace. How has Asaba benefited from this agenda?
Enhanced peace, there is enhanced peace there, and we have supported that from that. But the issue of development, fine, we're also highly supportive. In April, I was in Lagos to meet with corporate Nigeria, thinking of how to attract investment into Asaba as an entity. And I did that all alone, together with the people of Asaba. I spoke and I met with the corporate Nigeria. Again, that's our own way of trying to ensure that development comes into our area. It is not coming to Asaba indigents, coming to Asaba residents, amongst others. And I believe we benefited immeasurably from that exercise. It opened up Asaba, and many people from the stock exchange wanted to come in to invest and even to fund some of the investment opportunities that seem to flow from that engagement. So to that extent, we are in tandem with the MORE agenda of the governor, and we are working assiduously and diligently to support it one way or the other. And we are happy with what government is doing as far as MORE agenda is concerned, and we are not relenting. And we give kudos to the governor for the efforts made so far, and we are working directly behind him as far as that is concerned, complementing what he's doing, supporting him, and ensuring that that agenda succeeds to the best of our ability.
What is your assessment of the relationship between government and traditional rulers in driving development at the grassroots?
Complementary, I dare say, and that should be the position. Should be complementary. Because there are roles that the traditional institution ordinarily should play in that regard. But of course, the engine driving the whole process is the government. So I believe that where traditional institutions play the role they are supposed to play, one, i.e. peace, make sure there is peace. If there is need for land, yes, government can acquire land because under the Land Use Act, they have that power to do so for overriding public interest. But again, it is important that traditional institutions in their respective localities support the government to that extent. But more importantly, there is also need for a collaborative undertaking in that regard, that government can ask the traditional institutions what are their preferences and what are their priorities going forward. Where do they think that if they can impact one way or the other, it will obviously influence developmental trajectory in that particular locality. To that extent, I believe that there is need for a harmonious relationship in that regard, but I prefer to call it a complementary relationship between the traditional institutions and the government of the day.
Delta State is a multi-ethnic one. As a foremost traditional ruler, how do you see the state managing unity, cultural diversity, and peaceful coexistence in the last 35 years?
I believe that has been quite commendable, and I dare say one of the most ingenious things that seem to have emanated from this conglomeration of people from different backgrounds in terms of tribe, tongue, amongst other things, that people say that Delta State is a mini Nigeria. It's not a wasted utterance, so to speak. It is a truism and a reality of the moment. And that we have been able to coexist. We've been able to cohabit. We have been able to live together in peace and unity for this long, without violence, without disorder, without disagreement. You know, speaks to the fact that as a people, we are in our different ways, very, very enlightened people, and people who are quite accommodating, very, very receptive to one another. And we also demonstrate this closely, I dare say, at the Traditional Rulers Council meeting, where we meet every month. And you can see that camaraderie, that unity, that bond of relationship. And I want to give kudos to also the successive governors that have obviously led Delta State for their mindset, one that is quite open, one that is quite tolerant, one that is not circumscribed in any form, one that sees all parts of Delta as their own entity where they have to ensure that development flourishes, as the case may be. So to that extent, I believe that a lot has been achieved in that regard, and so far, so good. And I must commend all the ethnic nationalities in Delta State for making peace a mantra and trying to cohabit effectively and seamlessly with other nationalities around them.
How do we ensure that our Igbo and our Nyoma culture and heritage are preserved, even as Delta State develops and modernizes?
Well, it is for the people of any particular locality or a community to ensure that they do not, for any reason, banish or throw away their customs and tradition. But for the traditional institutions, we are the custodians of our custom and tradition, and it behoves each of us, traditional rulers of Anioma abstraction, to ensure that at any point in time we try to uphold our values, we try to uphold the customs and tradition of our people, and that we do one way or the other, either through works of arts, either through music, either through festivals, either through other festivities. In the way and manner we try to protect and promote our tongue, our languages, our dialects, as the case may be, and the way and manner we try to come together from time to time to exhibit our cultural ways of life, amongst others. So I believe that it is something that we should be proud of, something that people should look forward to, and individually and collectively, flowing from the top as traditional institution, for us to lead our people to believe first and foremost that we must sustain and maintain the customs of our people as inherited from our forebears, but going forward we can also modernize as the case may be. But opening up as Delta is gives us an opportunity to also bring in from other parts of Delta their own cultural norms and values and integrate them into our own. We must not exclude for the sake of excluding. We must obviously try to bring along those that we value and those that we can integrate into our own, while still maintaining and sustaining basically what's supposed to be the basic Anioma cultural values, customs, and traditions.
What advice do you have for the youths of Delta State as we celebrate this anniversary?
To remain focused, to remain resolute, to remain dedicated, and to believe in the government of the day, in the leadership of the government of the day, that we are on the right path, and that to all things being equal, that we can still get to the El Dorado, the promised land. One thing is that we must try to reassure our youths that job opportunities will be made available to them, that education will become something to be treasured, and of course that healthcare will certainly become something that is quite tangible and affordable to our people, and above all, that the youths will see that they have a future in this state and a future to look forward to. So after 35 years, if we take count, we can say, yes, that we have seen the sons and daughters of our Delta State rise from nothingness to the commanding heights in many of our undertakings in life, especially in Delta State, in Nigeria. But again, those coming after should also be hopeful that with what is being placed on ground, the foundation being laid by government, amongst others, that certainly the future for them remains very, very bright. And we want them not to lose focus, as the case may be.
Your Royal Majesty, what is your final message and royal blessings to Deltans at home and in diaspora as we mark Delta at 35?
To congratulate the people of Delta State, the government and people of Delta State, to assure them that Delta is on the move and that Delta remains the heartbeat of this country, and that the future is very, very bright, whichever way it is, that with the developmental strides of the government of the day, that we have so much to look forward to in appreciation and in admiration, and that certainly the best is yet to come. By the special grace of God, we will definitely see a better, more thriving, more flourishing Delta State going forward. Delta State, congratulations at 35. May we blossom. May God continue to keep us one. Let us remain peaceful, focused, determined. Let us pursue the agenda of the government of the day. And I pray that the best is yet to come. And I'm sure that definitely we will get to the promised land. Congratulations, Delta State.